Hello and welcome to Stupid Ancient History with Midgley
and Taylor and our expert, non-expert and special guest, James, Lord High Commander of the Science Cupboard, first of his name and knower of nothing.
Hello.
As always, we're wearing togas and today we're going to look at the rule of Tarquinius Priscus. Previously on Stupid Ancient History, we've been looking at the transition of rule from Ancus Marcius to the Tarquin kings.
It wasn't exactly the most legitimate way of coming to the throne, was it?
No,
just throw in lots of parties.
Yeah.
Well, and how this little Etruscan by the name of Lycomo left the town of Tarquini.
Cornetto.
Yeah, all right, Cornetto.
Don't worry,
Tarquini.
I'm not going to sing this time.
Anyway, he left Tarquini, travelled to Rome with his wife Tanaquil, and they set about making sure he was to be the next king of Rome.
By throwing some absolutely huge parties and basically giving gifts to all the important people. It's amazing, isn't it, how politics hasn't changed that much, really.
And let's not forget the tricky pulls sending the sons of Ancus Marcius away.
They're stupid for falling for that.
Yeah, all right, that's a fair point.
I'm worried we're going to get through a whole episode without mentioning a wolf prostitute. I'm not happy with the course of events.
I wouldn't worry. I mean, we can always make one up for you, James. Or what you could imagine instead is with all these massive parties, maybe they don't have, like the normal entertainment and they have people dressed up as wolves.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows?
Pretty sure they didn't.
So, Party King is now king
Yep.
of Rome. What does he do? More parties?
Well, he's not going to give up on a good thing, is he?
Or a good time.
Oh my God.
Why do I work with you? But yeah, no, he had some more pressing matters to deal with first. Mainly making sure that he wasn't replaced by someone else.
No one threw a bigger party and just replaced him.
Pretty much, yeah.
He has kind of shot himself in the foot here, hasn't he?
So anyway, the first thing he does is he makes sure that the Senate is chock full of people who support him.
Yeah, or as Livy tells us, and being so less mindful of strengthening his own power than of increasing that of the Commonwealth, he elected 100 into the Fathers, who from that time were called Minerum Gentium, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Of the younger families, a party loudly in the king's cause, by whose favour they had got into the Senate.
Right, so he just put all his mates in charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I mean, he knows he can rely on their support.
Again, it's amazing how politics has
know.
changed.
Exactly, I know.
And he's also paying them off for making him become king. So,
Yeah, he is just a massive sneaky bugger, isn't he? So as we've said, not much has changed, really.
You've still not told me how many parties he's thrown.
Well, he does need a reason to celebrate first, doesn't he? Otherwise...
Is that just a day with a Y in it?
Well, I suppose that if you just keep doing it all the time, then maybe it'd start to get a little bit boring. So he's looking for an actual reason to celebrate. He doesn't want to come across as being too crass, does he? And ultimately, he might be worried that people will just start thinking that he can't really do anything else.
Okay.
And he could also do with a way of paying for such a massive party, because obviously these parties cost a lot of money. He's not got a bottomless supply.
Right, do they have taxes at this point? How does this work?
They do, but
Not enough to cover his massive parties.
But handily enough for him, though, the Latins attack.
That doesn't seem like it's particularly useful. And I forget, they fight so many people. I thought they were mates with the Latins.
Yeah, they were. I mean, even though they're pretty much the same people, the Romans and the Latins, and they have close ties, and it seems throughout the whole period they're either friends, or every now and again they have these little squabbles that turn into full-blown wars.
You just have a fight with your mates for no reason.
Well, I mean, you can talk. Haven't you ever had a scrap with your friends or with your siblings? You're always talking about fighting your twin sister.
Yeah, verbally, don't
declare war on it.
I've never resorted to military action.
Really? Maybe you should.
So anyway, the Latins, let's call her Joanne for now.
Oh my God.
The Latins,
Lawsuit.
the Latins attack Tarquinius, and he leaps into action. And Livy gives us a nice little brief description of what happens next.
So he says the first war he waged was with the Latins, from whom he took the town of Appioli by storm, and having brought back more booty than the character of the war would lead one to expect, he celebrated games with more cost and magnificence than former kings.
Right, so all the money he earned from taking this town, he just blew on a big
Loads.
party.
Absolutely. Go to war, have a party.
Fair enough. To pay for your war.
Yeah.
Well, have a party to pay for your war.
Got to keep the people on side, hasn't he? Because I suppose if he's been kind of partying with the wealthy, maybe a lot of the more normal people are starting looking at him going, when's it our turn? What about us?
Fight for me, lads. We'll have a big knees up afterwards.
So after he uses his, apparently Livy called it booty, I'm surprised that a respected historical source used that word. So after he used all his booty from his war to pay for a party, what did he do?
Well, what he decides then is he knows that holding great celebrations, which kind of see the introduction of chariot racing and boxing as part of the games, which is something new, will probably go down quite well. Which they do.
Well, yeah, are these like gambled on? This sounds like a kind of Vegas situation for things.
Well, yeah, it's a fair point. But so grand are these games that he has to build a special venue for it all happening.
Yeah, they're called casinos.
Not quite. So he actually builds a grand circus, which later in Roman history becomes kind of the vast Circus Maximus, which is obviously something which is still there.
Sort of.
A bit of it is.
A bit of it.
So it's just a big casino. So we are.
It's a big open air casino with a running track in the middle.
Racetrack. Yeah, we'll see where you're going with this. But there's more. Remember those extra senators that he created?
Oh, his 100 mates.
His 100 mates. He gives them special permission to construct their own special viewing platforms to get the best view of the game.
The VIP seating.
Yep.
You are just describing like Vegas. You really are.
There are a few similarities between the two, it's got to be said.
So he's now gone from party king to just being like Vegas king.
Yeah, definitely.
I like him. So he's beat the Latins, nicked all their stuff, had a massive party. Is he going to do any kinging at any point?
Well, it wasn't just a massive party.
Was it a really big party?
Well, Livy tells us.
So Livy says, these games afterwards continued annually, being variously called the Roman and Great Games.
Okay, so it's just like an
So
annual...
he sets off
good.
He sets off a tradition, doesn't he, basically, in Rome?
So it's just an annual massive party.
Yes.
Does that mean he needs a war every year to pay for it?
Well, let's face it, that's going to happen anyways. But yeah, so he sets off. It was such a good party, they decide to have one every year.
Fair enough.
But there is more to him than parties.
So you've not told me anything that makes me think that's true yet.
All right. But I mean, under his reign, there is significant development to the Roman Forum, which is effectively the centre of the city of Rome.
Yeah, and we know this because the archaeology basically supports this, that the forum was expanded and permissions were given for kind of traders, shops and businesses to be set up around the edges of the forum.
So if what was in the centre then at that point?
Well,
It was pretty significant, wasn't it? So it was quite big. The forum had mostly had kind of government and religious buildings, like temples and things on there. But now we're starting to get more kind of trading things.
So is this where the
well.
temple to Janus was and
yeah,
stuff like that? Okay.
he's basically introducing private finance into the forum.
Yeah, so he's taking the centre, isn't he? And he's expanding it and adding to it ultimately. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, instead of having a few temples at the centre of your town, you've now got a few temples
And a shopping centre.
Yeah.
That sounds like a better town to me.
So anyway, it seems that like these new businesses were most likely the after effect of increasing trade with the Etruscans. You can't just go build some shops there if no one's doing any trading.
So him becoming king has improved relations between
Well,
Rome and
it
the
definitely seems so. I mean,
Yeah, he's using his old contacts, isn't he, in Tarquinii to kind of increase trade with Rome.
and also make his mates richer.
Yeah.
Standard.
So it seems to be going pretty well for him. He's just constant string of parties and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. Everything's going well. The Romans are happy. People are getting richer. Everyone's having a nice time.
That is until the Sabines attack.
They're friends as well. They've not stolen more
Yeah, but
women.
he's
have
already started fighting against one group of his mates, and the others are probably thinking, why don't we get in there first before this twerp comes and attacks us?
they? Is this unrelated to stealing women? This isn't a complete repeat of last time, is it?
No.
Okay, good.
No,
No.
I mean, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, they just keep kind of getting a little bit miffed, don't they, about things that are happening, and it all basically kicks off.
What are they a little bit miffed about?
You know, stuff.
they just want to fight.
You don't expect Livy to give us important details like this, do
About
you?
why someone went to war.
No,
It didn't.
no.
It clearly didn't involve birds, so we didn't think it was worth writing down.
But anyway, origins aside, let's just say they were they were annoyed at stuff.
Okay.
The Sabines attack and the fighting is fierce, and no matter what they try, neither side can get the upper hand, and there's lots and lots of casualties everywhere.
So it's a bit like stalemate. It's not a great situation to be in, is it? No one's really
That'll
winning.
put a dampener on your party as well.
So I'm getting pretty used to these Roman shenanigans now. Does it stop at a stalemate? Does something cunning happen? Does someone come up with a plan?
Sort of.
Okay.
So Tarquinius is convinced that the main weakness in the army is the lack of cavalry. So he goes about trying to recruit and train more cavalry, and quickly, before the Sabines decide that they're going to come back and attack again.
Makes sense.
Does it? But unfortunately for Tarquinius Priscus, a priest who's also an augur,
What's that?
an augur's someone who kind of interprets signs and...
Oh, a sensible person.
Yes.
Good. This was seeming a bit too normal.
So anyway, this augur, who's a man called Attus Navius, was having none of it, and he stated that because Romulus had expanded the army and cavalry after receiving good omens, Tarquinius could not do the same without seeing similar omens first.
So you're not allowed to do the sensible thing of expanding your army without being told you're allowed to by random birds.
Yeah, that's...
Basically.
Amazing. This is all making sense.
Well, I mean,
so angry.
you're not the only one who's pretty cheesed off by this. Tarquinius is equally taken aback, and he just starts openly mocking this guy.
See, I would do that, but I don't live in like a really religion-focused society where you possibly get killed for doing stuff like that.
To be fair, they are in a war, aren't they? And maybe they've just not got a lot of time to go around looking for birds. Maybe bird watching is not high on the priority.
So, not being one who likes being told no, Tarquinius challenges Attus that if he's so awesome, he could pretty much do whatever Tarquinius is thinking of.
Okay. What? Is this something that these augurs are known for being able to do? Or?
Well, why not?
Yeah, so it turns out that Tarquinius obviously is thinking about cutting a whetstone in half with a razor. As you do.
Obviously.
No, you like
it's
thinking
really
about
weird.
that,
I
James.
was just thinking about that.
Yeah. But anyway, it seems that there is a whetstone and there is a razor nearby, as luck would have it.
Probably just looked up and go, yeah, tell you what, chop that thing in half with that thing.
Yeah, because, well, it works because no sooner is Tarquinius set him the challenge that the augur is able to actually do it, and he chops the stone in half.
No, he doesn't.
Yes, he does.
Don't you
How
bring
do
your
you
science
know?
here.
How do you know that he doesn't do it?
Because that doesn't happen. The first half of this seemed quite sensible. It was just
Mining.
people.
You can cut stones up with things.
Whoa, sorry, slow down. It's not my area of expertise. I'm just a layman. You have to go slower than that. You can cut things with things.
I know what I mean. Well,
No one else does.
they used to use pickaxes in mines, and that's just cutting into a rock face. So you can cut a rock in half.
That's something.
with
That's something heavy and blunt to smash, not
Might
cut.
have had a really heavy razor.
I'd love to live in your world. I'd love to live in your world just for a day.
I really would not.
Right. So apparently this bloke's cut a stone in half with a razor.
Yeah.
Okay. What happens then?
Well, that means no more new soldiers.
Oh, because he's done it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
well, he didn't want soldiers, he wanted horses. Or
Yeah, but
just
they're not allowed
no
either.
expansion of the army at all.
no. So
Right,
from that
okay.
point on, any new centuries or parts of the army, they had to be passed through the College of Augurs by similar omens, cutting things with things. But
Is that the standard from now on, or
got to cut a
whatever,
thing with a thing.
or is it whatever random sign they think of at the time?
It's whatever random sign it is at the time.
Spectacular.
But this really doesn't help Tarquinius, does it? I mean,
So he's just lost a fight drawn a fight with the.
well, no,
Sabines.
they're still at war.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
But
but
they're not like withdrawn and going to have another crack at it.
no, they're still fighting. But since he's unable to add any more centuries to the army,
He simply doubles the number of men in each century.
That's expanding your army.
no, not new centuries, just making the existing ones bigger.
Yeah, still call expanding your army.
And chop something up with that thing. And anyway, semantics aside, he wins the war.
He does.
So did the Sabines have the same problem, or did they just not think of getting more soldiers?
They were trying to chop one thing up with another.
I don't think it's that funny, like I said before. I think you're both being very mean.
Well,
Please comment below.
We will see what the internet thinks. It's normally kind to people.
Been teaching all day, what do you expect? Tired.
What have you been teaching them?
Leave me alone.
So now that we've got over the concept of cutting things with things, now would seem an appropriate time to, again, pick out some of these ongoing themes and issues we see. Despite, again, the key thing is this is still a brand new dynasty in the rule of the Roman kings. And with that, you're obviously going to expect some obvious changes. So apart from the new dynasty, we certainly see more kind of social developments in Rome. It's a lot more fun.
Sounds it.
True.
I mean, they're not just dealing with practicalities like building walls and building bridges. They're enjoying themselves, which is nice.
Yeah.
And it suggests Rome's a bit more stable.
Could you say as well that this is where you start to see the kings developing more of a personality?
Yeah.
So instead of just being like the characteristic king of who wants war,
Praying
or the
king.
one who is
War
pious and
king.
helps further religion, these are actually starting to be less kind of one-dimensional
Yeah, they're
and
a
become
bit more
more
nuanced.
two-dimensional. Yeah, so they're actual personalities as opposed to just like characteristics that they want in a ruler.
Yeah, there's a bit more to them.
It's interesting that the first one with a bit of personality is just lad.
Well, yeah, I mean, certainly. But again, it's not just lad, because you can look at Tarquinius Priscus and look at, maybe he's on one hand just party boy, but is he cleverer than that? Is this, I mean, that famous Roman adage of bread and circuses? How do you keep the people happy? Feed them and then entertain them.
Is his circus Vegas thing, is that keeping plebs happy? Because he seems to have expanded the upper class.
Yeah,
From
it
what
would
we
do.
understand, it will have done. It's big enough.
Right, okay.
Obviously, they don't get the best seats; they get the cheap seats.
So they get to build their
But
own
they
stand.
probably benefit from things like free bread.
And
Okay.
ultimately, it's enjoyment. And the other thing, if you're thinking about the importance or the significance of something, as well as like continuity and change, it lasts so long that
It becomes a firm feature of
it
Roman
becomes
society.
part of the cultural makeup of Rome.
Right, okay.
It's like a tradition within Rome. So it must have some benefit to everyone, not just a certain group of people. Because if it did, then maybe it wouldn't have lasted so long.
It certainly would have grown as big
Yeah.
as it was. And again, it's him securing his dynasty. Who's going to want to oust the party boy king? Yeah.
Without throwing the biggest party
Exactly.
ever.
Well, that's it. I mean, people are going to have less complaints about it.
Yeah.
Because they're distracted by
Fun.
fun.
The other
Which is
thing
nice.
that you could say as well, I know joking aside, we kept saying, politics hasn't changed that much. But really, if you think about what he's doing, he's using his money to gain influence, to gain power. He's basically what we would class as kind of greasing the wheels, isn't he? Keeping all the people that are important happy by giving them money. You've got a faint whiff of kind of corruption and things like that, paying people off and that kind of thing. All of those different types of things, and also bolstering your own image with kind of positive propaganda and getting the people to like you, so the general populace to support you. They're all things that politicians still do now. Whether they would advertise that or not, that is still part of
You can't argue
politics.
Priscus is, of the kings we've seen so far, is probably the most skilled at kinging.
Kinging.
Yeah, kinging.
Well, he's already won 2 wars.
Yeah, so he's not lacking in that. I mean, it's not just the changes that are quite important with him. Even though it is radically different, we've still got those aspects of continuity. So he still gets caught up in ongoing conflicts like other kings, and military success is still quite important to him.
Is it at all important to them if you go out and conquer? Because both the Sabines and the Latins started on him.
I think it's more that you win.
You win. They don't care about the circumstances.
You win and you win well.
Right,
so
okay.
you can't just like go, oh yeah, I went and conquered Sylvia down the road and just stabbed her. That's not a good victory, is it? But winning in war is still something that's seen as important to the Romans.
I presume as well, after they won against the Sabines, they had another party.
Yeah, obviously. It's just got new ways of celebrating. But also with the cutting things with other things, we still see this obedience to the gods. So all right, the augur said you can't add new centuries to the army.
Even though he mocked the augur.
He mocked the guy. But ultimately, when the gods were on the guy's side, he was like, yeah, all right.
Okay.
I'll just do something else.
So it's not necessary because even now you sometimes get the thing, oh, you can't say that to a priest or something. So you can make fun of the priest, just not the gods.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Yeah, not really anything to add.
Fair enough.
So there you have it, our quick overview of the rule of Tarquinius Priscus. Thank you for listening. We hope this has been useful. As always, leave us a comment below, especially about cutting things with other things.
If we get like a minor now telling, no, that's a complete accurate description of how it works.
We'll take that as granted, yeah. And until next time, thank you and goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.